Hey guys, Creepypasta time again. Hopefully this will upload. Unlike last time. So, last week I talked about what a creepypasta is. Now I'm going to be talking about one creepypasta, and that creepypasta is Jeff the Killer. I will tell you a brief description of the story of Jeff the Killer, and then explain what he looks like. It may take about 5 minutes to explain everything. So, Jeff lived with his mum, his dad, and his brother Liu. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's spelled L-I-U. Pick your pronunciation. And they moved house for some reason, into like the countryside. And on the first day of school, Jeff and Liu were attacked by a group of bullies. The head bully, his name was Randy, I believe, or something along those lines. Jeff's kind of snapped and ended up attacking the bullies, and two of the bullies brought out knives, and Jeff managed to knock the knives out of their hands and stabbed two of them, and hospitalized them. And then, after he realized what he'd done, Jeff and Liu ran off into the forest to escape what might happen to them. A few days later, sorry. Weeks is a long time. A few days later, some police came round to their house and said that they were going to arrest Jeff and take him to juvie, which is because they're American. It's basically it's basically a prison for people who are under 16 or under 21. I'm not sure. It depends. I don't know the age limiting in aging in America. Like, I don't know when they are classified as adults or not, but whenever they're below the classification to adults, they go to juvie if they do any crimes. But then Liu came down the stairs and said that he had committed the crime, he'd stabbed them, and the police took him away instead, and they took him away to juvie, and Jeff was distraught after that. Then the parents the entire family were invited to this little kid's birthday party, and they told Jeff to come along to the party, and they told him to smarten up, to dress really smartly. So guess what he wore? He wore black smart trousers and a white hoodie. So smart. And he went along to the and trainers, and he went along to the party. And he went in there, and it was just literally full of like 5-year-olds, 7-year-olds screaming and running around. And then one of the little kids came up to him and handed him a cowboy hat and a toy gun and said, "Here, play with us." And he went, and he was all like, "Oh no, I'm too old for all of this." And they're like, "Please, can you play with us?" And eventually he had real fun there, until Randy and his gang came back, and they stood in the garden and they pulled out guns, and they said, "If anybody tries to stop what's going to happen right now, we'll shoot you." Bit overreactive for him knifing you guys. And actually, the reason they were bullying them in the first place was because they wanted bus money. They wanted to take the money from them. And then they brought knives and they got stabbed, and now they're coming here with guns to shoot them. And then again, Jeff's sanity snapped, and he was attacking Randy, and then Randy took a bottle of beer and smashed Jeff over the head with it. And then Jeff stabbed Randy with the sharded bottle, and then and was chased up the stairs by the other two people with their guns. And then he then stabbed one of the others, and then another one smashed bleach over them both. If you don't know what bleach is, look it up because I can't explain it. So he smashed bleach over both of their, or poured bleach over both of their heads, and then literally they were burnt by it because I think it's corrosive. It's got quite a low pH, which means it's quite corrosive. Well, it doesn't mean it's quite corrosive, but it is quite corrosive. So they were burned by it and eaten away by it. And then the boy, the bully, he brought out a match and he said, "You're covered in bleach and alcohol. Let's see how you deal with fire now." Basically lit the match and set Jeff on fire. He died afterwards. Of course he would, but he died afterwards. And Jeff fell down the stairs on fire and then blacked out. When he woke up from his coma, he was covered in bandages and couldn't see because there were literally just little slits around his eyes, so he could see, and he couldn't move, he couldn't do anything. Then a couple of months later, he was allowed to take the bandages off, and when the bandages came off, he had black hair. He had long hair, by the way. He had black hair, and he was completely white. Like, completely white, like paper white. Then and his sanity had snapped, so he was all like, "I'm so beautiful now. Jeff's a bit vain. I'm so beautiful now." And then when they got home, because Leo had come back, Jeff went up to the mirror in the bathroom and was just staring at his reflection all the time. And then his mum came up to the room, and he was constantly staring at his reflection, smiling, reflection, it's so beautiful. His mum came up the stairs, saw what he was doing, and she saw that there were a bunch of burnt out matches on the sink. You'd think that once you'd been set on fire, you'd be a pyrophobic. But no! He decided to burn his eyelids off because, I know, disgusting and probably impossible, but he burnt his eyelids off because he said, "I couldn't, my eyes started getting sleepy because I was looking at myself so much, so I burnt them off so I can look at my beautiful face all the time." And then she said, and then there's a blooded knife. He's holding a bloody knife, and he's cut the side of his mouth, like not cut through it, but he's like cut through some of the muscle tissue, and says, I couldn't, my mouth started to hurt after a while because of my smiling, so I cut it into a smile so I can always smile on my beautiful so I can always smile. Don't you like my new face, Mummy? And then she basically lied to him. She said, "Yes, your face is beautiful. Let me just go get Dad to show so he can see your beautiful face." And went to him and told him to get the gun because Jeff had gone crazy. And then Jeff went into the room holding the knife and said, "You lied, Mummy," and then stabbed both the parents. And then he went up to Leo's room and stabbed Leo. And then he ran off into the forest and was picked up by the Slenderman, brought into the Slender Mansion, and met all the other creepypastas. Good going, Jeff. So that's the Jeff the Killer story. If you want any more detail, I will put a link down for the actual story. Jeff is insane, so... Oh, and he says a catchphrase, "go to sleep." And he says this because, when he killed Leo started to cry, and he said, "Shh, shh, 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 don't cry, Leo, just go to sleep," and stabbed him. So whenever he kills anyone else, he immediately goes, "Go to sleep," because that's what he felt when he killed Leo, so he says go to sleep for that reason. By the way, this is my interpretation of the story. This is my quick review of the story. Not all the facts could be correct that I've said. Most of them should be, but some of the little details, if you are pedantic like I am, will probably be wrong. For example, names. If you want, you can look it up. And I believe Jeff's surname is his entire name, well, except for the middle name because no one knows it, is Jeffrey Woods, I believe, but I'm not sure. So if you could comment and tell me what his surname is, if it says, then please do. Sorry for explaining for so long, but it's a long story. So yes, next week I'll be talking about Ben Drowned. There we go. Okay, Gecko,